Hi everybody, my name's Yvette. I'm coming to you from Yvette Marie's Fine Arts and Crafts. Today I'm going to show you how to work the half double crochet crochet stitch, which is this one here. Here's just a little sample showing you the difference between a single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, and the treble or triple crochet here. Now this is 10 stitches across here, 10 stitches across here, 10 stitches across here, and this one just happens to be 9. I just made an error when I was working it. But you'll see the difference in size when you're working these stitches. So you always want to make sure that when you're working a pattern and you're using these stitches, to always count your stitches to make sure that your pattern comes out the right size, because you'll see how much of a difference you see in the same amount of stitches here, except for the 9 here, even though this one being 9 stitches, it would make a little bit of difference in working a pattern if you were working a full pattern. Okay? Oops. So let's get started on your half double crochet. Today I'm going to be using a size 10.5 K crochet hook, and I'm just going to be using a standard yarn. And I'm just going to create an adjustable slip knot to begin to work my first row of chain. I'm going to work 10 stitches to show you how to do this example, and then I'll work a few rows just to show you how to work this. You can make a simple scarf by working this pattern, similar to working with your single crochet or double crochet. As long as you want to make your scarf, you can just keep working this pattern repeatedly over and over again. So you're going to go ahead and just create a simple adjustable slip knot. Like so. And I'll create a video just for slip knots. Some people have a little bit of trouble doing that, so I'll do it one more time for you. You're just going to keep your yarn in your hand, wrap the circle around, tuck your tail underneath sort of like a pretzel, and pull that working yarn through it like this here. You'll see that you have an adjustable knot that adjusts larger or smaller. So I'm just going to take my crochet hook, place it in my knot, tighten it gently. You don't want it too tight on your needle, or excuse me, on your hook. Now I'm going to take my long part that I'm working with, my working yarn, and I'm going to create a simple chain. You'll also want to check out my videos if you need to learn how to do a chain. I'll show you how to do that in a separate video. So in order to do a chain, I'm going to go ahead and work a regular chain. Is going to be 10 stitches. At the end of the chain, I'm going to do 2 additional stitches to work this particular stitch, the half double crochet, and I'll show you that in just a moment and the reason why. So I'm going to create 10 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now I didn't do my chain too tight because I don't want it to pucker and pull for that first row that I'm working. Okay, so now when we're working the half double crochet, if you're working with 10 stitches, you want to create 2 additional chain, 1 and 2, at the end of the row for your turning room. And that means we're going to skip these 2 stitches that we just did, the extra stitches, and we're going to work into the 3rd stitch right here. So we're going to skip 1, 2, we're going to work into the 3rd one. So to create your half double crochet, you've got your chain on your hook here. You're going to wrap your yarn around once before you place your hook into the yarn. Again, skipping these first 2, we're going to work into this one, have your yarn wrapped around one time. You're going to go into that first or that 3rd stitch, wrap your yarn around your hook, catching it here, pull through. Now you've got 3 loops on your hook. You're going to wrap your yarn again around your hook once, and you're going to pull through all 3 stitches or loops on your hook here. And that's how we're going to do the half double crochet in each of these stitches across. Again, this is your front, this is your back. You'll see you have a little extra loopy here in the middle. So make sure that as you're working across your row, you're working into that top loop. Keep your row nice and straight as you're working it. Otherwise the end will look a little funky when you're finished. So to work your second stitch, we're going to work into this one right here, right there. We've already worked into this one. You'll see it's a little bit stretched out. We're going to wrap the yarn around your hook one time, work in to the second stitch, catching the working yarn around your hook again, pulling it through, wrapping your yarn around again, and pulling it through all 3 stitches. Third stitch, we're going to go ahead and work into this one. Wrap your yarn around your hook, go into that next chain, so it looks like this. Wrap your yarn around your hook, catching it, pull it through that chain, wrap your yarn around your hook again, pull that chain through all 3 stitches. Now when you're working this, you don't want to pull this really tight as you go to your next one. Leave it just a little bit loose on your chain so that it has enough room to stretch to that next stitch when you're working your next stitch. Otherwise your work's going to be really tight. Now the reason you had those 2 extra stitches at the end after we created our chain of 10 is for this little area here that curves to work your next row of stitches. If you didn't have that, this would be all bunched kind of funny when you work that row. So you have those 2 extra stitches to create a little bit of space to give you so that you don't have a real weird bunch up here. Okay, so we're going to go again, next half double crochet into the next stitch here, wrap your yarn around your hook, place your hook in that next chain, wrap your yarn around your hook again, catching it, pull back through your chain. You'll have 3 stitches again, wrap it around your hook again, pull through all 3 stitches. We're going to continue working in this manner to the end of the row, and you'll notice as I have my working yarn in this hand here, the way I have it worked and I'm holding it in my fingers, it works very nicely. With each hand works together really nicely. I can just gently wrap around, and as I place my hook in that next stitch, it sort of automatically goes around the needle and hooks on there like that. So I've got wrapping around, and as I go into the stitch and turn my hook, it kind of catches here, and I don't have to actually physically grab it and wrap it around. It just kind of catches nicely. Okay, makes it a lot faster when you're working. And I'm just going to continue working to the end here. I'll do one more row for you. Okay, and here's our last stitch at the end. And if you're more comfortable, you can count each stitch as you're working it. Okay, so we've got our 10 stitches here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we've got the working stitch or chain on the hook still. Now at the end of each row, you're going to do an additional chain 2, similar to that additional chain 2 we did over here for working that wrap around as we went and turned around. So at the end of the row, you're going to chain 2 on your hook. So you're just going to wrap your yarn around, pull it through once, wrap your yarn around, pull it through twice. Now you've got chain 1, chain 2, and the working yarn on your hook here. This one here is the actual stitch we're going to be working in down here. We're going to ignore the chain 2, and we're going to work into this set of stitches. So now that we've done that, we're going to turn our work over, and we're going to work back down this row in this direction here, working in each of these stitches across. As you're working into them, you'll see from the front you don't see the V's here, but you're going to make sure that you're working through both layers, catching both of those strands of yarn as you work into each of those stitches. So we're going to go ahead, wrap the yarn around again once, ignore these 2 stitches, those chains that we did, work into that third area, which is your first chain or first set of stitches we're going to work into. Grab your yarn, wrap around again, and pull through. Wrap your yarn around, work into both layers here. Both of these. Wrap your yarn around, pull through, wrap your yarn around, pull through all 3. Wrap your yarn around your hook, go into that next stitch here, wrap around, pull through, wrap your yarn around, work into your next stitch here, making sure again that you're grabbing both layers of yarn here, wrap your yarn around, pull through, wrap your yarn around, pull through. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and work to the end, continuing on in the same fashion. Again, when I get to this point, make sure you don't pull this yarn really tight. Leave it just a little bit loose on your hook here so that you can actually reach and stretch to that next stitch. Continuing to the end, we've only got a couple stitches left. Okay, so this is our last stitch we're going to be working into. And the way you know that is it's actually facing this direction here, as with these are those extra stitches and they don't have the double layer to work into. You'll see this stitch is the one we're going to be working into. It's got the front and the back pieces of yarn here. So we're going to wrap the yarn around our hook, going into the front, going into the front, working through both layers, wrapping around, pulling back through, wrapping around, pulling through all 3. So now we've got 2 full rows, and you can see them separated here like this. Again, at the end of this row, you're going to do another chain 2, turn your work back around, and you're going to work into those stitches, both layers, again working your 10 stitches all the way to the end. You can count your stitches here. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay? And that's how to work the half double crochet. If you have any questions, please email me at YvetteMariesFineArt@gmail.com. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have on these videos. I will post the email address in the comments below and at the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.